this is a short talk with three British skydivers who formed the British SOS, which is the Skydivers over 60. I believe it started in the US in 1990, and later on in the UK, Neil Hansen took it up. So over to you, Neil, if you could tell us something about the early days of the SOS, how it formed, and what you all did in those early days.
Okay, yeah. I was Secretary of POPs UK from 2002 to 2005. We went to the World POPs meet in Switzerland in 2004, and I joined the American register and got number 866. Just qualified SOS at the time.
This was the American number?
Yeah, that was the American system. There wasn't a UK one at the time. A few of the regular jumpers in the UK, which was over 60, had approached me at times saying, "You're Secretary of POPs, running POPs, why don't you start an SOS register?" And I said, when I hand over POPs to somebody else, which was actually I handed over to, all names escape me now, Dick Barton. Then I said I will set up a UK SOS register. And it started, I invited everybody via POPs and the magazine to send in their applications. And on the 1st of January, I would look at the application forms, and the oldest applicant would get number 1. And that was how it got formed.
So who was the applicant?
There was Pete Best, which was actually over 80 years of age at the time. Then there was Lenny Mobbs, which was the second oldest. Somebody else I don't see much, I think he stopped jumping. Clive Plummer stopped a lot, but he's also stopped jumping now. And I was the 8th oldest and ended up with number 8 out of 9 people that applied.
So
and that's how it started.
How many jumps had you done prior to starting the SOS?
I was up to, I would say, about 800 jumps in total, 800 or 900 jumps. So you're well
experienced skydiver for those days.
Well, probably early 2000s, not really that experience.
So what was
in
the first year, the approximate size of the group you had?
It was 10. Then I had another couple of people that came in 2005. It started very slowly. More and more people got interested as we started turning up at POPs meets and trying to do an SOS formation 4 ways or 6 ways or things like that. So we got more and more people signing up. They got to know about us, and it carried on, and eventually it built up to, I got involved in an SOS team to go to the World Meet in Italy first of all, but then reformed again with Chris Shaw as our coach that came in with us to go to Holland and join the specific SOS 4-way competition.
And how did he get on there?
In Holland,
yes,
we won the gold.
Brilliant.
We formed a team with the purpose of just getting on the podium, and we ended up, we knocked all the other teams out of sight really over 5 rounds.
All right, how many teams were there, do you think?
There was, what was this, 7 or 8 teams I think there was in total. Yeah.
And this was on the front and back system?
No. We are long past this. This was in 2010.
Yeah. Is there any particular point during your service with the SOS that leaps to mind?
The general, not specific, in general I would say the attitude of most of the SOS jumpers are very good. We're here to enjoy ourselves and hopefully keep jumping as long as we can. But I think the highlight was really ending up with a gold medal in Holland.
Oh, brilliant.
And by that time I thought it was time I handed over to somebody else.
Yeah.
And by then it had also grown to nearly well into the late 50s in membership, by about, I would say, 8 or 9 members coming up every year and joining. So slowly getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Who's the oldest POP? Can you remember his name and how old he is?
Oh, the oldest pop would have been Pete Best, I would think.
Okay.
Lofty Thomas, not long died. He was one of the founder members of Pops. Can't remember the other one, who's the first ever secretary. Lofty Thomas took over from him and ran it for 12 years, I think.
This was when he was at Grindale?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But,
did you all jump at Grindale or mainly?
No,
Western?
I never. Dunkeswell, Netherhaven, Western on the Green.
Yeah.
And my predecessor, Pete Shue, arranged it for the Pops meet to take place every year at Hibblestow, because that was more central in the country for the Scottish and the South Coast and so on.
Besides the competition in Holland, the international one, anywhere else you took part?
Italy before, Eloy, United States in 2006, but there wasn't a separate SOS competition. And that was sort of, as there was more and more SOS number internationally at the World Pops meet, it then slowly grew, nothing to do with me, but separate SOS competition in both accuracy, classic accuracy, sports accuracy, four-way national teams, and it just grown from there. And now, even in our traditional hit and rock competition, they're separate SOS.
You still do the hit and rock?
No, I don't do now. I'm too slow.
Where do they hold that now? Do you know?
At the world meets.
Okay.
Some of the European countries and American ones, at their national Pops meet, still holds the hit and rock competitions. Although we don't have a national Pops meet every year here anymore, so that has fallen by the wayside, sort of.
What was the biggest hurdle you had in starting the early days of SOS?
There wasn't really any hurdle. It was just setting a date and getting enough people to apply, and then setting up the register.
Oh, that's great. Well, thanks very much, Neil. And I'll have a quick word with John now, who took over from Neil. So, John, perhaps you could fill us in from the point when you took over, perhaps the number of current members and any achievements or any particular competitions or incidents or anything at all. From the time you
well, I was a late comer to skydiving in general. I was nearly 60. I was nearly 60 when I got my AFF, got my A license rather. And for a couple of years I just did a few jumps a year just to keep current, because everybody where I was jumping were a lot younger, should we say. So one day I googled skydivers and over 60, and up came Niels's name, and went along to the meeting at Western, and wow, suddenly there's all these, well, I say all, there are about 10, 11 people that I could jump with, and they were all older than I was. So that's really what kept me in skydiving. I think I would have probably not carried on if I hadn't met somebody to jump with. We did a four-way, people took camera pictures, and I think this is marvellous, you can see what it's all about. And most of my jumping has been done since then. So I was very grateful that Niels had set up something called Skydivers Over 60, and I was happy to take over from him after the World Pots in Toka in Holland. And essentially it's maintaining a list of all the SOS people, keeping contact with them, and providing a sort of informal forum for people to get together, and also to say that yes, if you are older you can meet people of the same age. So
that almost sounded like a dating site.
Well, if you want to look at it like that, So, and I think at the same time when I took over, we just had a record attempt, the first SOS record attempt in UK, that Chris had organised. It was December 2012. So I took over in the January, and Chris had organised and told us what to do and so on the 8-way at Netherhaven, and he agreed to carry on doing record attempts in the next year and the following year, and again now, And I think that's been the most popular thing amongst SOS. There doesn't seem to be a great appetite for the hit and rock, as Niels was saying, and the sort of standard POPs activities. But we do all go to the POPs meetings, and there we meet other people of SOS groups from different countries in Europe and from America. So it's a way of saying, yes, we're all over 60 and we meet people of the same age and same inclination.
What's the current membership numbers?
We've got 82 at the moment. Number 81 was Dilys Price, if you remember. She was on the television, 83 years old I think she is now, still jumping, mostly at Langar. And then I can't remember who came in number 82, but he's in the book here. I have a list here of everybody. So I took over from Niels. There were 57, and that was 3.5 years ago. We've gained 25 while I've been doing it, so we're getting about 8 a year roughly joining.
Where do you see the future of SOS? Where do you think it might go?
I think it will carry on as an informal group, and we will do records and that sort of thing, and there'll be a changing membership, shall we say, and there are lots of world records that we can go for. When you look on the POPs site, you can do different points against different groups, and there's quite a few variations on that theme. So there's quite a lot of records.
Is it the POPs site or the SOS?
It's
site?
an SOS. It's a POPs. There is a POPs website, and a POPs. SOS is a subgroup within the parachutists over 40. So all the documentation is really done by parachutists over 40 for the SOS subgroup.
Yeah. And then when you finished, you well, I know you're still running part of the way, but then Chris Shaw came into the...
if you like, carried on doing all the admin work and contact with media and so on, but Chris has the experience of organising the jumps.
Involved with the admin and everything
Yes,
else.
indeed.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll then take up the story with Chris, and perhaps you could fill us in from where John handed over to you.
We didn't so much hand over. It was more me suggesting maybe we could have an attempt at a record, and would John help me with the admin of that, because he knew who the people were. I had some idea on how to organise people, so between us we were able to come up with a list of names, and we ended up with an 8-way at Netheravon in 2012. Is that right?
2012.
2012.
And was that an 8-way Speedstar or an 8-way?
It's an 8-way, but effectively it was a Speedstar. We had no special altitude, so it was get out of the plane and let's see whether we can get 8 60-plus-year-olds together, and we did.
Was that difficult?
It wasn't as difficult as I thought it might be, because I'd never met most of these people before. So
was there a problem with memory lapses?
No. Luckily.
Like that?
Well, there was one person who remembered partway through the skydive that he was in the wrong place and moved around.
Yeah. So what was your high point from your time as a serving member of SOS?
It's got to be, as Niels has said, when we won gold in Turha in Holland. He was being modest. Not only did we beat all of the other SOS teams, we didn't need to have done the last round, and we would have still won.
Yeah.
And our score was such that we would have beaten everybody else in the POPs meet except the gold medal winners. So that was the highlight, I think.
Well done. I believe you're involved in some sort of record this weekend for the SOS.
Yeah, I've just...
Something about it?
Yeah, sure. So working with John again on keeping the membership up to date and letting me have access to that membership. What I've been able to do is invite all of the SOS people that are willing, able and interested to come along and join in a record attempt. So we were here a couple of years ago and we built a 13-way, which up from the 8. We were here last year looking to build maybe 18 or 20, but the weather was against us. We're here again this year in order to do the same again. We're looking to build an 18-way formation. With some luck, and with the weather tomorrow, we should get 18. We've got the skills, we've got the capability, the competence in the people. And 18 might well go down as it will be a UK record. It might be a European record. And there's a chance that it might be a world record too.
I believe about 2 weeks ago you are still waiting confirmation, but you might have got the RW sequential record.
Yeah, indeed. We so in 2 weeks ago was the warm-up weekend, and the idea of that was to give SOS members the opportunity to get current again, jump with each other, be familiar, and so on. And as part of that, we organised a couple of separate groups, and one of the groups was a six-way. We flew very cleanly 5 great points of six-way. That would, if it's ratified, probably in the next 10 days, be a world SOS record for six-way.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with
Thank
that.
you.
And thanks very much, Chris, John, and